Welcome to Family and the Feast channel. My name is Janet and this is
Chloe again.
Chloe is our taste tester. Remember all the ingredients and measurements, it will be listed down below in the description box.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Hi everyone, in today's video we will be making some pine slice, and this is a Guyanese pastry. Now it is a requested video from one of my subscribers. I hope you enjoy. Now this is what you will need to put this recipe together. I am using some shortening, and this is all vegetable shortening. I have milk, custard powder, sugar, flour. I have some butter, some food coloring, pineapple jam, nutmeg, baking powder, salt, essence, and I have eggs over here. So guys, in this step, it's time to combine all our dry ingredients. Now we're gonna add our flour to the bowl, and you will need a large mixing bowl for this. And I'm going to add in my salt, my baking powder, my nutmeg, and I'm using 1/4 cup of custard powder. I'm also going to add in my sugar. Now that our sugar is in, we're going to mix this to make sure that it's all combined. You want to make sure that it's combined evenly, and you want to use a whisk that will help you take some of the lumps out of the flour and the custard powder as well. So now that this is combined, I'm going to add in my shortening, and you want to make sure you get every bit of the shortening out. I cannot stress on how important it is for this recipe, this specific recipe. The shortening and your butter must be accurate. It has to be even amount. You want to make sure you add the even amount. That will help your pastry to stay at a nice soft texture, not at a spongy texture, because we all know pine slice isn't that spongy texture. It's a once you add in the even amount of shortening and butter, you can have this pastry for about a whole week out of the fridge. I really don't like to keep it in the fridge, but you can have it out of the fridge and it will maintain that nice softness. I don't like when I make a pastry and it's loose and crumbly. Now the butter and the shortening will do that part for you. It will keep it at a nice, soft, moist texture. So it will not give you that dry and huxy texture. You know, when you take a bite, it's so dry, it chokes you. So we want to make sure that maintain that nice texture. Now you want to break this up a bit. And if I didn't mention, I had my butter and the shortening chilling in the fridge for a bit. You can store it in the fridge for about 30 minutes before you're ready to put this recipe together. And now I want to have that butter and the shortening distribute evenly in the pastry. That's why I'm doing it by hand. And you want to massage the butter and the shortening into the flour. Now you have to make sure all these lumps are not there. It must be evenly distributed in the flour. So now that my butter and my shortening is well combined in the flour, we will place this on the side and we'll head over to the next step. So in this step, we are going to make the liquid that we will need to knead our dough. We'll start by cracking the eggs in a large mixing bowl. And then we'll add in our essence. And I'm using some evaporated milk here. You can use the regular whole milk if you don't like the creaminess. And you just want to add that in. So I'm going to add in a few drops of yellow coloring to give me that original color that Pineslice is known to have. And we want to mix to make sure that the egg and all the ingredients are well combined. So now that this is all combined, I'm just gonna go clean up my work area here, and I will come back and show you the next step. So guys, it's time to bring our dough together, and I am going to add in my liquid. Now I'm gonna do this a little bit at a time, just forming a well in the middle here, and add in about half of my mixture first. And we are trying to create a sticky dough. Now, if for some reason the mixture that you use is not enough, you can use a little bit more of the evaporated milk to do the remaining of the kneading. Now I'm gonna try to get every bit of the liquid that I mix to my batter. Now we don't want to over knead the dough. We don't want to allow the gluten in the dough to activate too much, because then you will have a bread consistency when you're done baking, and we don't want that. As soon as your dough comes together, you're just gonna place it on the side. Now this is the perfect texture, and this is what you want to look for. You want to make sure that when you hold it in your hand, it's sticking to your hand, but it's not running off. Like, you can hold it up like this. Don't allow it to run off, otherwise you know the dough is too soft. Now this is what you're looking for here. I'm trying to explain the best I can so that you get the right texture. Now we'll place this on the side and we'll move on to the next step. You don't want to leave your dough to rest for too long. This is a recipe. As soon as you finish kneading your dough, you have to put it in the oven. Now I have a piece of parchment paper, and this is not to avoid it from burning. It's just to help me remove it easily from the pan. So on the bottom, I will not put too much in the middle, but you want to make sure you grease your pan. You want to make sure you grease the edges of your pan really well. Try to get each corner. Now you can use a piece of paper to clean up the edges on the top here. And now I'll just put my parchment paper in. And I'm just gonna rub a little bit on the top of my parchment paper. And to that, I'll just sprinkle on a little bit of flour. And just make sure that it's spread evenly on the bottom of the pan and also the side. And this is a 9 by 9 inch pan, guys. The mixture I give you, you will need a 9 by 9 inch pan to do this recipe. Try not to get anything smaller. You can mostly use a bigger pan than a smaller pan, because the dough, it takes a while to bake, and you want to make sure, because it's not like a cake consistency and it's so thick, it will take a long time to bake. The middle might not cook evenly. So you want to make sure, if you're getting a pan and it's not a 9 by 9 inch pan, try to get a bigger one, not a smaller one. Now I'm just gonna go dust my pan out with the excess flour, and I'll be right back. Divide your dough into 2 even shears. However you think you can get that even shear. If you want to weigh it, but I'm just gonna eyeball it. That's it. Now I'm gonna bring my pan over here, and I'm just gonna pick this up. We want to spread this out evenly, and we want to make sure that it's halfway around the pan on the bottom. If you want to do this with your hands, you can. I'm going to go in with my hands. Tends to stick on the spoon. Now what I like to do, if it's sticking to my hand, I like to dip my finger in some oil or some water. I usually like to use the oil because I don't like the water might make the dough get even softer, so I try to use the oil. So just a tip to help you. I am managing just fine here, but I just want to give you that option, let you know. So you want to make sure you flatten it evenly. You don't want one side to be higher than the other, then it's not going to cook evenly. You can eyeball it. You'll know from the edges of the pan. You should be able to tell. And to get the other side that's looking a little bit shallow, just push, just press and push towards the side you want to be filled. Now for me, this part here is looking a little bit shallow. I'll just press and push towards that area. Now this is perfect for me here. And now for the jam. Now you can use as much or as little that you want. I'm not using too much. You want to spread this out evenly. So guys, I like to leave a little bit of crust on the edge here. I don't like to take the pineapple jam to the very end of the pastry. I like when I put the other layer on top, it seals the edge here. It creates a little bit of you know, barrier to keep the jam in the middle. And for some of us, if we bake it and when the sugar is starting to melt in the jam, then it seeps to the side and burns, and then you start smelling that burned sugar. So you will see the little space that I will leave. If it gets there by accident, you can just pull it back in. It's not a big deal. Now this is a space I'm talking about on the side. I hope you guys can see. And now that we have that all set there, I'm gonna just use a little bit of butter on my hand. I don't want the dough to stick too much, because once the jam is there, it's very hard to get the other layer on top without messing up the jam. So with that little butter in my hand, I'm just gonna spread this out as much as I can here. And I just lay it on top of that there. Now because the dough is nice and sticky, it's not too tough, it's not really fighting me back, so I have control to push it, and it will stay and remain where I'm putting it. As you can see, I will be working on the edges first. I want to seal in that jam before starting to press in the middle and the jam push to the side. I can always even it up. Once the side is sealed in, you can press in the middle all you want. It's not going to hinder anything from not being even. So now that the sides are covered and my jam is nicely secured in the middle, I am going to try to flatten it out and make it a little bit smooth on the top. Like I said, you can use a little bit of oil or a little bit of water. And I also mentioned I prefer to use that oil or probably some butter. Now you want to press to just smoothen it out. And while you're doing that, you can press the edges a little bit tight so you know that it's nice and tightly sealed there. So guys, this is all set and we're gonna go place this in the oven now. So guys, our oven is already preheated to 350 degrees and we'll place this in the oven. So we want to place this in the center of the middle rack and we will allow this to bake for 1 hour and I will let you know when I'm ready to take it out. So guys, I'm taking my pine slice out now. It's been baking for 1 hour and 10 minutes. Depending on your oven, yours may take a little bit longer or it may take less. Whatever time it took for yours to bake, once you insert your toothpick and it comes out clean, know that it's all done and try to insert mostly in the middle of your cake. Now, depends on the temperature your oven has and generate. It will sometimes crack in the middle. That doesn't mean anything. It's just that your oven, you know, all the heat really build up in the oven and because you didn't open it too much, it caused the cake to crack on the top. But mine didn't crack, came out perfect. The color is awesome. So we're just gonna allow this to cool down before I cut into it. And Chloe will try it and she will let you know how good it is. Remember to allow yours to cool down to room temperature before you cut into it. So guys, now that this is cooled down, I'm gonna just turn it on. And this is how easy it is to come out when you use a non-stick pan. And add that piece of parchment paper in the bottom there. I have it here and I'm going to turn it over and I just want to show you how the pine jam was sealed in when you leave that empty little space on the side like I show you, and it's not burned and discolored. It doesn't smell burnt sugar. So I just want to cut into this now. Let's pick a piece up and show you guys how good this is looking on the inside, and I want to show you how soft it is. And this is going to remain nice and soft with that there's a little crunchiness on the top here. Now my husband loved that crunchiness, so if I don't get that to be that nice and crunchy, it's a problem. So just letting you know, you will feel that little crunchiness on the top, which is so delicious. So now Chloe's gonna come and try this and she will tell you guys how good it is.
Time to try.